Good evening, everyone. I'm George Martorano, and welcome to another Fourth World Prison segment. And as many people know, and many may not know, every morning on my fan page in Facebook, I publish these short stories. And they are stories, and sometimes they are poetry, and sometimes they are messages from myself to wherever I can get out there too. And I started this from a cell, obscurity. I started my messages and stories and poems from absolute seclusion, basically, seclusion in solitary. But anyway, a little while back, I wrote a short story. It got a lot of response, and basically it was about death. It was a winter morning, and I was in one of the worst prisons that the federal government had to offer in Marion, Illinois. It's basically central Illinois. It was surrounded by a swamp. The prison was surrounded by a swamp. And the worst of the federal prisoners were kept there. Why I was there was strictly political. I was a nonviolent first offender. So when you're put in this type of institution, you're only let out a few hours a week, but to leave, you must enter the honor block. You must enter the honor block. So, getting back to the short story I published on my fan page, it was a winter morning. I woke and I stepped out of my cell. I had my coffee cup and I ventured up the tier. It was a silence that I was used to. Maybe in the backdrop of this prison tier, someone was snoring, maybe the low sound of a cheap radio. And as I'm walking I had a coffee cup, a cheap coffee cup, a few spoons of instant coffee. So I'm headed to the end of the tier, and an unseen voice comes and says, "Watch out for the rec cell." The rec cell in this tier, there was two. It was basically a cell with the bunk taken out, and it was used for pull-ups. They had a pull-up bar, and they had a dip bar, and then the other cell, there was basically two rec cells. It had a table where guys could play cards. There was not too many men on this cell block. Basically a total maybe in the 30s, 32, 34 men. So I, with my head down and my coffee cup in front of me, I go to the hot water fountain. Hot water was a degree of hot water that you can utilize for the coffee. So I filled my cup and I sipped, and I'm walking back to my cell, and I says, "Let me stop." And I stopped and I looked in the rec cell, and there was a man hanging by the neck from the pull-up bar. I remember the look of him, his tongue hanging out, his eyes wide open, and as I'm sipping the coffee, the only thing I can do as a human being, I said the Our Father very lowly, and when I finished, I headed back to my cell. And of course, soon after that, the lockdown occurred. We were locked in many days, and that type of mornings, I can go on and on and on. I seen the worst kind of violence and death in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. You remember, I spent over 3 decades in the fourth world, which we call these prison segments the fourth world, which America has created. But there's something benefits from it. I lived through it, and it allows me to tell the stories of my story, and there's so many. Very little joyous times, so many dark times. And I wanted to share this with all you out there in the world, in America, because are they interesting? Yes, they're interesting after the fact. That I lived through them. I want to share with you with that, and this is another segment. Signing off, I'm George Martorano. Thank you, and goodbye.